Okay, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to do an unboxing. We have two different fragrances that are from Five Below. I don't know if you guys have that where you are, but it's kind of an East Coast thing. It's sort of like the dollar store, but everything is $5 or less. So I found some fragrances there, and we're going to see if they're good or garbage. They're pretty much all of the fragrances that they have there are clones of something. So what we have here is, it's called Sinner pour Homme, and it's supposed to be like Sauvage by Dior. It's an eau de toilette, and it even says on there's like a little sticker that they added on the front of it that says this item is not associated with the makers of Sauvage by Dior for Men. So kind of a disclaimer, but kind of like, hey, here's what we're gonna smell like. And then this one, Legrand white, which obviously, very obviously looks like Lacoste. Maybe Lacoste white, I'm not sure. And they even have a little emblem there. Instead of having the Lacoste emblem, they have sort of a lion. I forget what Lacoste is. I think they're like an alligator. So we'll open these bad boys up. They're both 100 milliliters, so not bad size, and we'll see how they smell. I don't have one of Lacoste fragrances, but I do have Sauvage, the EDT. So I have the Sauvage EDT that we can kind of compare up against, and we'll see if they're worth the $5. So this will be an unboxing and a first smell. So, as you can see, decent packaging. I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, it's $5, so, you know, nothing crazy. 3.4 ounces, 100 milliliters. We'll open it up. This is the Sinner pour Homme. So as you can see, I mean, obviously the bottle is made to look like Dior Sauvage. It has sort of the gradient right here. Cap isn't too bad. I mean, it's plastic, but the glass itself is quite heavy. It's got a thick bottom to it. Cap goes on all right. It's a little crooked already, I will say. It says Sinner pour Homme on there. There's a little batch code. Actually, no, there's no batch codes on these. Not too cheap. So we'll get one of our handy dandy smelling strips and give it a little bit. Okay, give it two. A little bit of a wave. Wow, and right away, I mean, just from memory, it's actually very similar. Here's the OG, here's the real Sauvage EDT. Okay, so it's got the fresh spiciness down to it. You can smell the ambroxan that they used, which is a synthetic ambergris molecule. So it's supposed to smell kind of like ambergris. It's very common in a lot of men's fragrances these days. It's definitely weaker. This was only one spritz on here. This was two, you saw. And it's already starting to fade. The initial spray was very fresh, spicy, very masculine, very raw, like, you know, kind of a raw skeleton of a fragrance, like what Sauvage is. But now on the dry down, I mean, and this is on paper. Remember, on paper, everything lasts a little bit longer than it would on skin. And it's already starting to go away. There's definitely a lot more ambroxan in the real Sauvage. It definitely longer lasting. This is a little bit sweeter. I will say it's a little bit sweeter. Almost a fruitier aspect to it. But not bad. I mean, you're gonna have to drown yourself in it, but for $5, you have 100 mils of it. So let's give it a little more. And there it is again. So I think it just takes more, but it's pretty similar. I would say maybe 75 to 80% similar to the original Sauvage EDT. So not bad. I mean, you get what you pay for. Honestly, especially for a kid. Sinner's not bad. Okay, so here's the Legrand White. Pour homme, eau de toilette. When I was there at Five Below, there's a lot more fragrances that are for women, so there wasn't a whole lot to choose from as far as the men's. There was a couple, there was a fake Polo Blue, there was a fake Polo Red, there was a fake Hugo Boss. It's called something having to do with the boss. I think it was called CEO for men, and it has the Hugo Boss size, the container that all the Hugo Boss fragrances are in. It was very funny to see how they kind of cloned them up. So here's Legrand White. Still, not a bad box. They're both made by this same Mirage brand. Must specialize in clones. So here we are. Look, they've got a little leather thing. A little bit of fake leather wrapping around the side. They've got plastic cap just like the other one, but this one looks like it's put together a little bit better than the other, I will say. So this looks like, this doesn't look like Lacoste White, I will say. It has the green stripe and everything. It looks like the original, the OG Lacoste for men, which is, I believe it came out in the 1980s, early 1980s. So we'll see if it smells kind of like an older fragrance, one of the OGs with some of the older molecules that they used to use. So we'll see what that smells like. The original was supposed to smell kind of grassy, kind of green, pretty fresh. It's not a winter fragrance for sure. So let's give it a couple sprays. Okay, that was 3. Oh, and right off the bat, it's a lot stronger than the Sinner, I will say. It's actually a very pleasant smell. It has a bit of the grassiness, so it smells like it's trying to emulate the original Lacoste for men, eau de toilette. You can definitely smell kind of the green notes, the grassy notes. They're using hexanol 3-cis. Hex 3-cis is a very, very powerful fragrance molecule that smells exactly like freshly cut grass. So if you want to give it, you can't be too heavy-handed with it, but if you want to give your fragrance a little bit of a fresh, fresh aspect to it, you can definitely use some Hex 3-cis. As it's starting to dry down a little bit, you can smell cologne. That's another old fragrance molecule. It was actually discovered in the early 1950s, I believe, by scientists at Pfizer. So current news, Pfizer created cologne, and it was for food ingredients to kind of give a watery, watermelon type of flavor to food. But then they started in the 80s, they started using it in colognes because it lasts forever. It gives a watery, kind of a fresh, aquatic aspect to things. So if you've ever smelled pretty much any sort of oceanic, aquatic fragrance, that's what it's all based on, is cologne, which is a base note that just lasts for freaking days. So a lot of cologne, a lot of freshness, a little bit of aquatic, some green notes in it. It's very good. It's a lot stronger than this one, I will say. It smells a lot better put together, too. It smells like, almost like a professionally made fragrance. So this one is definitely worth the money more than this one, I will say. If I had to go for one, I would say the Legrand White is better. Both of them have a decent build for the container, though. I'm really surprised. They have cuffs on them. Sometimes with the cheaper fragrances, they won't even have, it'll just be a bare crimp on the cap, you know what I mean? Kind of like the dollar store ones that you see, it's just a bare cap because they can't afford getting a collar. But not bad. I haven't smelled the original in a while, but I would say it's pretty close, and I would give it probably an 8 out of 10. Being generous, that would be an 8 out of 10. And then this Cinder, the performance just wasn't great. Initially it smelled great, but I'll give this one maybe a 6.5 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. So this is really the only one I would recommend checking out. Alright, so thanks for watching, and let me know what you think if you end up getting it.